up, and welcome back to another episode of 24 Minutes of Not A24, the podcast that takes a look outside movies outside the A24 library, 24 minutes at a time. I'm Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are bowing down at the altar of the Father, Son, and House of Gucci as we talk about the 2021 film from, we're talking about House of Gucci.
I almost wrote into the notes the 2021 classic film House of Gucci, and then I really wanted to like throw you off the scent on the intro, but I didn't want to fuck with you that much to begin the pod.
No, I appreciate it. I fucked myself up because I looked at the notes and I saw Ridley and I was like, wait, I got thrown off. So, you did it without even meaning to. So good job.
Thank goodness. When Patricia Reggiani, an outsider from humble beginnings, marries into the Gucci family, her unbridled ambition begins to unravel their legacy and triggers a reckless spiral of betrayal, decadence, revenge, and ultimately murder. I love that. That logline is really funny to me. Mm-hmm. Directed by Ridley Scott. This is our second Ridley Scott in the Patreon kind of chapter that we're doing right now. We did Alien, we're doing this, and then we're doing Napoleon next. It's going to be a short Ridley Scott run. Have you seen House of Gucci before, Ben?
Yes, I saw it in theaters. When
it
came
you did?
Out.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I saw that. And The Last Duel in theaters. So.
Oh God, The Last Duel, so good.
Yeah.
We only had 3 slots. This is the thing. Like, I would have chosen. I feel like both of us would have chosen The Last Duel to put in here as well. That's a great movie.
Yeah, if we were doing like the Fincher length of like 6 or 7 movies, I think it would have fit for sure. But I think these like Alien and this one is a great balance because did this come out before or after Last Duel? I don't know, but it feels like it's the bookends, of like the great Ridley Scott stuff of Alien and House of Gucci. Some people may disagree on the greatness, but we'll get into that.
Okay, that is a great segue. I do want to know, like, what do you think of this movie? Because I have strong feelings about House of Gucci, and they are disproportionately positive to what most other people believe. So before I say, even though I just said, I want to know what you think.
I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. I was here for it. I know some people had issues with things about it, namely like Jared Leto, but he was like one of my favorite parts of the whole thing.
Funny though.
Yeah, I thought it was great. He committed to the bit. I thought Lady Gaga was really good in it. Obviously, Adam Driver's great. The accents being thrown around are just kind of nuts. Pacino's great. Everyone I think is doing the great job in here.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're all there for the same movie. It's like a little campy. It's a little over the top. And I don't know. I like it a lot. I think on Letterboxd I gave it 3.5 or 4 stars. Something like that. So it's in that range for me. But yeah, I enjoy this movie. This is a thing where sometimes when people hate a movie, I'm like, okay, I get it. I see why I disagree. But people who hate this movie, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, it feels like it's just like a good time. I don't know. I don't know why people don't like this.
Just a purely fun movie, honestly. Yeah. So yeah, I gave it a 4.5 and a heart on Letterboxd. And it's one of those things where it's like, same with you. I'm aware of why people don't like it. I can understand that, like, 2 hours and 38 minutes. It can feel kind of like a slug. It's a little bit slow. It's very campy. Sometimes it feels like people are acting in different movies, or they kind of want the main storyline or whatever it may be. It wanders a little bit. It's kind of a little bit of mishmash of everything. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what makes the movie so good. Like, quite honestly, like, I don't think it was designed. And again, like, we are in late stage Ridley Scott here. You mentioned The Last Duel. Like, The Last Duel came out before this, but they both came out in 2021. So like back to back fucking heaters, which is insane. And I don't think this movie is meant to be like, let's get really intense about the downfall of Gucci and their marriage and, like, what makes a legacy of a man in this world, and then, like, his wife and all of these things. Like, I don't think it's meant to be explosive. I think it's meant to be like a poisonous trip. Yeah. And I think the movie does that incredibly well. I have several things to talk about. Of course, we're going to go through our 3 true cinema moments, but last night when I rewatched this movie, I tweeted a couple things, and I think it is just truly a delight to have Ridley Scott making a movie like House of Gucci with the cast being what it is. You have Jared Leto, you have Al Pacino, Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Jeremy Irons, all fucking incredible actors in this like time period, looking just gobsmackingly gorgeous, every single one of them. And then he decides like, hey, I'm going to be Ridley Scott and I'm just going to like needle drop Faith like in the middle of this movie. And it's like, I'm pretty sure it's like 1979 right now in Italy, but that's okay. Like, I think we're just having a good time. I really like this movie. I just really think this movie is great and really funny and a fun time. You mentioned Jared Leto. I'm glad that we fall on the same wavelength here because I generally am not a fan of Leto. I think, of course, like many people are, he's very, very spotty. I think he's lights out in this movie. I think he absolutely is the disappointing, bumbling buffoon of the Gucci family. And that's what he's supposed to be, and he does it. And I just think it's fucking phenomenal.
It's a kind of performance for me that, like, if you didn't tell me he was in this, I wouldn't have known it was him. I think he kind of disappears. I mean, obviously, a lot of that is due to makeup and things like that as well. But I think he does a great job. His accent is the most ridiculous, I think, out of the whole movie, but that fits the character perfectly. And I don't, people call him like the worst part. For me, Salma Hayek is like the psychic is kind of like a weak link for me. Like she's normally really, really good. She wasn't my favorite part of this thing, but I love seeing Jeremy Irons. Like he was awesome as well. And I think Pacino, it's Pacino and he's doing a good job here. But for me, Leto, every scene that he's in, I'm focused on him. Like he's just like kind of commanding. And the stuff he shares with Lady Gaga, like I think it's wonderful.
And you get a great, like a classic Pacino scream, like a Pacino freak out in this movie, which is excellent stuff. Lady Gaga doing a very over the top accent that does tend to like go in and out sometimes, but she is so committed and she is so gorgeous. I'm pretty sure my Letterboxd review was like, it should be illegal for Lady Gaga to look this beautiful on camera. I think truly like one of the most gorgeous people to ever be in a movie. In this movie, and especially like she's decked out in like classic Gucci things like this from the vault. These are Gucci things from the vault, so I get it. Adam Driver looking like a complete dork in his big glasses. And then I do kind of wish we got more Jeremy Irons, but I understand like storyline wise, he passes away, and like that's the big kind of ball that gets the ball rolling really for the movie. This was nominated for makeup and hairstyling for the Oscars, so I just want to show like Oscar nominated House of Gucci. Love to say it. I think that's fantastic. And I'm curious, before we do our true cinema, would you, because Lady Gaga's character goes to a psychic, this is how she ends up pretty much ultimately losing her marbles a little bit and kind of falls off her rocker and guns for the murder of her husband. Would you go to a psychic, or have you gone to a psychic, Ben?
I have not. I think it'd be fun. I don't know that I would go and take it serious or go with the expectation that this person is actually going to help me figure some things out in my life. But it would be fun to go and just be like, cool. Like, what do you got for me? I want to kind of hear what you have to say.
You're not worried you'd go crazy? Like if you go to a psychic and they're like, oh yeah, in your future, I can see like, oh, you're going to have some really great tragedy. You're not going to like get hung up on that and be like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
I feel like I grew up in a really weird religion that had their own versions of it. And so I was able to set that aside. I think I'd be able to put this aside as well. Just like, you know what? Great for you. That's awesome. Yeah. Not for me. I hopefully wouldn't let it consume my life.
See, that's what I'm worried about. I have not gone to a psychic, but I am worried that I would take Lady Gaga's path in this, where it would just be like, oh, like, tell me if I'm going to be successful. And she's like, oh, I see these things. And I'm just like, every second, I'm just like, oh, when is this going to go down, or when's it going to happen?
Yeah.
So I've stayed away from the psychics, and this movie definitely confirms I've made the right decision, and I feel good about that. You want to do true cinema? You want to talk through a couple moments?
Yeah, let's tear it up.
Okay. My first true cinema moment, let's see if I can pull it up really, really quickly here. There were a lot of things that I wanted to put on this list. I'm going to be honest with you. And there were things that had to make the cut. Let's just be honest here. I have a lot of honorable mentions. Can I ask you a really quick question? I know our time is dwindling here. Yeah. Do you consider this a Christmas movie?
I wouldn't have. No, I don't think so. Do you feel like it is?
But I mean, come on. It plays. It's the most wonderful time of year, and we have a scene in which there is an exchange of presents. That's pretty Christmassy.
I mean, that's a fair argument. It's a fair argument. I don't know what to say beyond that. If you tried to play this on a Christmas draft, we'll see. We'll see how that goes over.
Molly was out on the couch when this scene came on, and she was like, "Oh, Christmas movie," and I was like, "Hell, fucking yeah! You bet it's a Christmas movie." So I feel good about that. Okay, my first true cinema moment is kind of something I mentioned earlier. We have the Italian version of "I'm a Believer" by Smash Mouth playing while Adam Driver works at the truck, kind of the truck lot here. Going into Adam Driver and Lady Gaga fucking in the office, just completely unhinged, unbelievable stuff. Mm-hmm. And then going into them getting married and getting a faith needle drop. And all of that leads into Al Pacino's intro the very first time we see him, where he goes, "What is this?" Mm-hmm. All of that combined, truly masterclass stuff, where I'm just like so enamored by what's happening. I'm just like, we're working with a mad genius here. Whoever put this on camera, this is incredible.
That was a really good impression. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you very much.
When you said that, I could just like I saw that scene. I was like, oh yeah, that was perfect. I loved it.
Oh,
yeah, no, that's great. Obviously, that's like if there's one scene you leave this theater with or this movie watching experience with, just like in your brain, it's got to be that one. You know, like that is such an intense scene.
It's so wild.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So yeah, I think that's a great pick. The needle drops in here are pretty solid for sure.
Yeah.
Mine is a little bit before that, and it's really just kind of their courtship. But there's one that I like in particular when they're going to a restaurant and Lady Gaga's, she's like, "Oh, I can't go there. It's too expensive." Mm-hmm. Okay, I can try, you know. It's just like yeah, I'll give it a shot. I think it really shows her charm, and she has like that in spades in this movie, and I really liked their dynamic. It's a dynamic that worked for me. I think sometimes in movies they try to like force a companionship or some sort of romantic interest or sparks, but I felt it in here. It's like, yeah, I could see these two being together. I could see him easily falling in love with her and her just kind of being a compelling partner for him. That, you know, the scene in the bar where they first meet in that club, you know, and he's like, "Oh, I'll make you a drink," you know, and just like bumbling through it all. He's really just kind of like an oaf, you know what I mean? He's just like, he's bumbling everywhere. Like they play that like tackle game at the party. And then when they're playing soccer at the construction site, like he's just a big lumbering, weird, you know, just dude.
Yeah. Ridley Scott understands Adam Driver's lankiness, and he's like, let's play with this a little bit.
Yeah. And it was perfect. And it plays against Lady Gaga and her compactness so well. So I loved, you know, whatever kind of montage and stuff of them and their companionship. So that was my first one.
Yeah, I can totally see them having like a real relationship. I gotta be honest, like from the outside looking in, I know Adam Driver's character, like he owns Gucci, and I understand like we're of a business mind here, and like your wife is kind of a terrible person, but like you got to be a little psychotic to cheat on Lady Gaga like that, or to leave your marriage to her. That just strikes me as a dumb move, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100% on that. I think that shows up later on in the movie too, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, my second part is a Paolo quote. So it only
mine
took two.
Too. I'm curious if we've got the same one.
It only took two to get here. I'm not going to try to reenact it. I don't feel like I'm in the right mental state for that right now.
Okay, all right.
But he does say, and this is like one of the first times you are introduced to his character. He says, "My bladder may be full, but my dreams are even fuller." And I'm just like, fucking incredible. Like,
it's a great line.
Did Ridley Scott write that for you? Did you just ad-lib that thing? And like the way he pauses in between, where you're just like, where the fuck is this sentence going? And then he lands the plane and he does it. And you're just like, makes sense. I get it.
Yep. Yeah. He's very quotable in this movie for sure. He is the most fun, I think, in this. I mean, that's mine too. It's a quote from Paolo. I forget who it's in reference to. I think it may have been when he was trying to pitch his designs to his dad, and he talked about the person that like rejected him or something like that. but he says he's blind in one eye and deaf in the other. And I just like, I love that line so much. I thought it was so funny. But his designs are just like kind of nuts. And it's funny to see how they like placate him later on in the movie. Like, all right, let's just let him do his like weird thing if it'll keep him quiet or if it'll, get him on our side. But the character is just one of the best.
He's really kind of the glue as well for the movie, because like without his stupidity, I like the dueling sides of the family are not able to like kind of work off of each other and work off of like alliances. And I do think the movie does like a really good job of like slowly dispersing and trying to get us to figure out like, is Patricia the problem here? Is it the Gucci family? Like, who is really at the core of like the evil of what is happening? I don't think it ever reveals too much information. I think that's part of why it's so interesting to me as well. Yeah. Okay, my third part, and I do have like a tried and true honorable mention that I wrote down.
Okay.
But my third part again is like another transition, probably one of the greatest transitions, dare I say, like in movie history. I think this is totally up there, where Paulo is having his show. He's having his fashion show. He gets a cease and desist order, and we go from this fashion show, him receiving the cease and desist, and him opening his mouth to scream. But instead of hearing a shout, we hear a horn, and then we get a smash cut to the next scene where he is honking his horn and gets out of his car to essentially tell them that he knows the taste difference between shit and chocolate. And I just truly impeccable stuff where, again, like, you're just like, Ridley Scott was kind of in his bag on this one, because like, that's kind of genius and it's really cool. And also like, it's memorable. And I think it's really great and meaningful for his character. I think it works like on all fronts.
It really does. And when that scene happens, I couldn't help but think like watching them in the booth, like recording the audio and stuff and cutting everything together and just being like, you know what if we play the horn here? Because I don't know if that was like in the script or if that's like later on in post-production, like, do they have him screen him actually on set? And then later on, like, you know what, let's do a car horn. That might be kind of funny. And it is, and it works really well. It works perfectly for that character. So I'd be very curious to know when in the filmmaking process that decision was made.
That's a good question.
I think it's a really good scene.
Yeah.
For me, my last one, it's another Patricia scene with Lady Gaga when she's confronting Paula about stealing other people's things. I think it's the first time that she goes to visit them after they've been separated for a while. And just like her line delivery, I think is so good, where she's like, I don't consider myself a particularly ethical person, but I am fair. And it's just like, oh, like she's really just like reading this woman her shit right now.
Yeah, it's so damning.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's done so cleanly and it's just perfect. It's a great line delivery. She gets across the message without being like, I know what you're doing with my husband, like nothing like that. It's just like, I'm going to tell you that I know everything that's going on with one line, and then you can excuse yourself and leave, which is exactly basically what she does. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I love that line delivery. So that's my third favorite.
Patricia's style on the slopes is just bar none. The most fashionable person I've ever seen on a snowy mountain. No question about it. Okay, I did want to make one honorable mention real quick, and it is an Al Pacino scene. We're gonna cover Heat here in a few weeks, actually, so we'll be talking a lot about Pacino and his shouts. This one is right in line with that. It's towards the end of the movie when he signs the papers to essentially sell his stake in the Gucci company, right? And that really is kind of the second domino in the downfall of the Gucci family. But he signs the papers, and instead of just signing them, he essentially signs them like he has a stroke. Like he signs them and he like yells and he freaks his arm out like he has literally like a muscle seizure. And I just think it's incredible. Again, like, what was the behind the scenes that Ridley Scott was just like, fucking do whatever you want. I don't care. Like, just go do a Pacino thing. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, well, I'll just go a little crazy. I think it's incredible, and I think it works, and it does, like, in the larger context of the film. Like, I get it. It makes sense. Like, he's fucking frustrated as idiot
he's
kid that
heartbroken.
fucked him over. He just got out of prison. And, like, he comes out of prison to realize his son is as dumb as he thought, and he fucked the company. And, like, I just think it's great. I think it's hilarious. I think it's incredible. I think just this movie is astounding to me.
I love it. My honorable mention is like something that's in the trailer. I quoted at the beginning, but it's her whole father, son, and House of Gucci.
Yeah.
Because it still pays off. There are things that we see nowadays in trailers where we then go see the movie and like, oh, I wish they had left that out because it just doesn't hit like it could have if you've seen this for the first time. But this still works every single time for me. This is still just like as impactful, you know. It's just like, I swear to you, like father, son, House of Gucci, like it's so good. It works so well. It felt like an obvious one though, so I wanted to go with some of these others, but that'd be my honorable mention.
And that's like the big commit right there, where she's like full send. Let me try to get you to believe me, and then start the downfall. Like I think it is really good stuff.
Oh, also, sorry, I'm gonna do one more because we have 3 minutes.
Okay.
What about he's like, it's my name, and she's like, it's our name, sweetie. Like that's such a
sweetie.
Sweetie. Like it's such a good delivery. She's great in this movie. I don't understand why people don't like this.
I don't either. I just it's kind of baffling to me. I think she really is very, very good in this movie. Okay, would this fit into the A24 catalog? Look, I think maybe. Like I think it's got a shot. I just don't. Well, you know what? I'm going to say yes, because we have Priscilla. We have movies that are, you know, biopics or based on real life events or people or whatever. This is that. And I don't know. I feel like it could.
Yeah.
I always question myself on this, though, so I never know.
Well, it's weird. There's like the technical side of it of like, no, they wouldn't make this for $75 million, which is reportedly what it was made for.
Do you know how much it did at the box office?
It says it did 153 worldwide.
Fuck yeah, we did it.
So doubled, yeah.
We won.
So
okay, great.
Yeah, it was good.
Last Duel, not so much. I think
not so much.
I think that was a tough send.
But I think this story itself fits in the A24 catalog, but I don't know that they would have given anybody 75 mil to make it. That's a lot.
I mean, if they barely gave Ari Aster 30 mil to make his thing, I don't think they're more, 2.5 times in that to make House of Gucci. But, who knows? Maybe. Okay, any final thoughts on House of Gucci? We have like 90 seconds, 100 seconds to wrap.
I just think if you haven't seen it, or if you've seen it but don't remember loving it, I would give it another watch, because I think if you just go in with the right mindset, this is just kind of a campy, fun movie, you'll get that experience. Don't expect like some deep, like dark, whatever. Like it's fun.
Literally all that, like if you go into this movie and you're like, if you know two things, like incredibly funny accents, and Lady Gaga is so goddamn attractive, I think that's all you need to know. Like, I think you're just going to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't need to know anymore. Next week on the Patreon pod, we are conquering it all. We're talking about Ridley Scott's Napoleon. Have you seen Napoleon yet, Ben?
I have not seen it yet.
Okay, I've seen it. I don't want to spoil any thoughts, but
I appreciate it.
It's a movie that Ridley Scott made, and it exists.
Well, that's not spoiling your thoughts at all. You're just putting it out there.
Yeah, it's going to be good. That'll end our Ridley Scott run, and then we'll do Michael Mann for a few episodes and prep for Ferrari, which is exciting.
Switching over to the man, Moria Adam Driver.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on House of Gucci? Let us know. We're on Twitter and Instagram at 24 minutes of A24. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can watch the regular pod, 24 minutes of A24. And yeah, thanks so much for supporting us, for being patrons. We really appreciate it. We appreciate everyone listening and commenting and all that kind of stuff. I hope you guys are enjoying these episodes. Next week, Napoleon. I'm excited. I'm Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. I can finally soar like a pigeon.
I was hoping you were going to do that.
Woo, we did it.